Congrats, you are officially bored of your content and maybe you're even cringing at it. You're scrolling past your videos and thinking, oh my God, why do they feel so flat or so not like what I need them to be giving right now? And this is a good sign. This is the exact sign that is literally telling you, your internal success meter is telling you, hey, I am demanding more impact, more authenticity, more authority than your past way of creating can hold right now. And that dissatisfaction, it's not just about how you are creating your content, but also how you are showing up for it to literally outgrow that version that has now new standards. Welcome back to the podcast. It is me, your host. Happy Tuesday. We are literally about to unpack what to do when you have literally outgrown a version of yourself that like was showing up into your content, into everything that you are creating and doing, and what that now requires out of you in order to meet those new standards and stop feeling that cringe feeling of, you're just not really satisfied with what your content is giving or what it's giving when you're showing up. And this is not a thing of, oh my God, I'm failing, I'm behind. This is literally a sign that you have already surpassed this way of creating and everything, because your standard is growing. You have a new standard. You are wanting something different. And this is something that every single entrepreneur, when they're creating their content, like you will probably hit that milestone like multiple times where you're kind of just at that point where you look at your content, you look at your brand, you look how you're showing up, and you're like, this is just not cutting it anymore. Like I just don't, it's just not satisfying. Like you just don't feel satisfied. And even though this stage feels so uncomfortable to be at and to look at and everything, it is the point to celebrate, because it means that you have already surpassed all of your previous standard and all of your previous things and all of your previous positioning or brand or all of the above. And you're especially like yourself as a person, like you have already surpassed all of these versions of you. And so let me just start by saying that this is an incredible situation to be in, even though it feels kind of uncomfortable. And I know, because I have been through this myself, my clients. This is just part of it, all right? About your past identity tax, right? Like when I think of every time that you get to see your old posts or your content that you're creating right now, and you're like, oh my God, like it's good, it's good, but you're essentially not feeling like it's good enough or it's satisfying your standard. That is literally what I call paying the past identity tax. Like you are paying a tax to your past self because you're still kind of entangled with this old way of creating your content or this old way of showing up. And you're paying a tax to your past self every time because you're cringing or you're feeling like you just need to keep creating the way that you always have. We're definitely going to unpack this further. And so go grab your matcha, go on your hot girl walk, and let's just talk first of all, because the way that your current self is with your energy and how you're showing up is kind of like you're keeping up with an old brand. It's kind of like having your brand on like life support. You're like paying the tax for that. And so that's kind of what's happening right now. It's almost like an identity lag, because like I keep saying, right, your identity is linked directly to your personal brand, where you're kind of like moving way faster than everything else has like adapted around you, right? It's kind of like you're like up all the way up here, but then your content and how you create and how you show up, it's kind of like here, and it's like, hello, like there's a lag happening, which is sometimes there's just too much pressure and not enough resonance. So what I mean by this is that there's too much pressure to show up in a way that you think your audience wants you to show up as, or creating content that you think your clients want you to create. And there is not enough resonance with how you are permitting yourself to be and show up as. So this is what I mean when I say, sometimes there's just too much pressure, oh, it should be better, it should be like this, it should be this, but not enough resonance. And so it's about looking at the resonance of what does not resonate with me and what could resonate further, that I can take this and actually use it to make my clients and my audience resonate with my brand, instead of having it look for the outside, right? Of like, okay, like what do they want? What do they expect? And then everything, right? All of that kind of like pressure point, because that is also not you really leading, that is you kind of like following, right? So the first thing is really like, sometimes there's just too much pressure that we put on ourselves, but there's just not enough resonance. Like there's just not enough resonance that it's like with what you're creating, what you're talking about, the topics you're talking about, how you're talking about it, how you're expressing yourself, how you're creating, like whatever. Fill the blank, right? And so this is something that is just not really talked about a lot, and it's so important in order for not only for you to feel like this is so incredibly you, but this is so exciting, and holy shit, now we're turning on the magnetism. Now we're turning on the little like secret ingredient that's just making the whole difference, where it's just like you're not cringing, you're literally so excited, And I like to think of the cringe as like spiritual data. Like this is just your spiritual intuition that's like coming through and telling you exactly where your 2.0 version, where your 3.0 version, where your 5.0, 10.0 version is currently at. Okay, like what does feel small? What feels like it's not like, it's just not satisfying enough? Like what exactly is kind of like in the way of that? Jumping into the void and being like, let's do something that actually genuinely like starts exciting me and like it feels so good to create. Like you cannot have content that sells if you yourself are like cringing at it, or you yourself are kind of like annoyed with it or bored with it. Because like people can feel that, right? Like people cannot maybe name it or like see why they feel a certain way, why they feel like it's not that compelling or not as compelled to like book you or work with you and everything. And most of the time it is like this feeling of like you are feeling like this boredom, or this like your content is like a chore or whatever, and then other people are feeling that, but they cannot really name it. And the thing is, when you are performing in your content, or when you are like pushing through, like, oh, this feel like a chore, right? Like it takes like a massive energy overhead. Like it's not natural, and it doesn't feel that great, and it doesn't feel as magnetic, but it's kind of like this feeling of, okay, like I need to perform, and I need to like really be in this presenter energy or whatnot, so that people can pay attention to me and it's good enough and everything. And it's kind of like this feeling of like how you would deliver it naturally is just not really good enough. And that's what it comes down to. Like, but the irony is that like the right clients and the right audience can really smell that like performance, or like that kind of like, okay, like let me switch on the mask and everything of like I'm presenting, like not in the sense that you're fake, but in the sense of like, you know what I mean? Like you're just more like this, okay, the cameras are on, like let me put my telephone voice on, like, when you're about to book a service and you're like putting your telephone on, like, yes, hello, this is Malika. I would like to take an appointment for my hair on Tuesday. Which is okay, this is actually funny because the other day I actually called for a new hair appointment, and I purposely was thinking in my head, wait, let me not do telephone voice and sound like myself. And I was like, why do we do the telephone voice? Like anyways, back to my point, right? Your clients, they are not magnetized and seduced by you presenting yourself as the placeholder, or it's like, okay, like I really need to be showing up in this way or whatnot, right? And sometimes like that can also be the reason why it feels cringe, because it doesn't feel so natural. Because when we think of the 5 personal branding pillars that sells, now this is the framework that I use with my clients. It all starts with being so deeply rooted into you and not so much into, okay, what does my clients wants to hear? Okay, how do I need to show up for my clients? Like, it starts being rooted in you, your offer, your service, all of these things, your values, your positioning. And so when we think of these things, it's like, okay, now how can I recalibrate these things so that when I'm creating my content, it actually match this new version of me that has this higher standard for my content, that is actually satisfied with how I show up, and that genuinely feels like an expansion of me, not a presentation of me. And I think it's so normal as an entrepreneur to like always want to, you know, put your best foot forward. And like when you're showing up online, you're thinking sometimes of like, okay, like my clients are going to see this and whatever. But the irony is that like everyone, it's like even me, like everyone just loves to just connect actually with the person. Like everyone actually loves to kind of like see more of that real raw things, right? This is why it's not just a brand, it's a personal brand. It's about kind of like recalibrating these elements so that they do feel like an extension of you and it goes naturally, and then your selling also jumps in and it's natural too. And the next thing for this is also that sometimes when you are building your brand and everything, like it evolve alongside you, right? But sometimes you evolve quicker than the way that you are showing up online. Meaning like, you know, maybe your messaging just feels kind of off. You're like, this is just not, I don't know, it's just not giving. And sometimes like it can just be as simple as, okay, like we just need to adjust your messaging. We need to adjust your positioning. Like what is the content that kind of feels like, you know, you're kind of like doing on robotic and it feels kind of safe and comfortable for you versus what actually feels like it's actually the way you want to show up, and it's actually the way that you want to connect with your clients or with your audience, and it works for you, and it feels like you are not out here stringing yourself or putting on a mask and everything, because sometimes that is the reason why it feels like, it's just not giving what I need to be giving, right? It's kind of like when you are talking with your friends, for example, you're talking with them and then you're looking at how you're talking in your content and you're like, I don't, like your friends are like, you don't talk like this to me, right? Like it's about like kind of like also dropping this like, oh my God, I need to be up here and look all polished versus like, okay, how can we bring it down to earth and actually you are a human being? And that is actually the very thing that your personal brand is based upon, which is you. And listen, like it's possible that some piece of content you're looking at it and you're like, actually, like I literally hate this. I don't like this content anymore, like whatever. And you feel like you want to delete it. But the thing is, okay, when you are a personal brand, you never need to apologize for your evolution or justify your prior things, right? Like it is part of just your evolution, and actually looking at those past content and looking at these things, like it is a good sign that, oh my God, you have outgrown it, because now you're like, okay, now what's next? Like now how do I recalibrate my content and my brand to feel like me? And something so simple that you can do right off the bat is just making a list of what do I hate and it makes me cringe and what do I actually like, right? And then you see, okay, like which side is more filled, right? And then this is again kind of like paying the old identity tax, which is like, okay, like which is the tax you're paying more of? Are you paying more of the old the old like past self tax, or you're paying the new recalibration tax? Holy shit, because there's also a tax to your new recalibration. It will feel uncomfortable. It will feel like, okay, like I've never really shown up in this way, or like I've never really done this. I've never really, you know, brought on guests like this before. I've never really creating my type of content like this, or show up like this, or create a messaging like this, or whatnot, like, you know, and that also costs a tax. It's the tax of you literally outgrowing this this past version that is just no longer a vibe for you. Like it's just not fucking working. This is something that I want to remind you of, which is like, you know, when you walk into a store and you look and they have a new collection for spring, they're not out here being like, here is why I am creating this new collection, and here is why Like, no, like they were just fucking out here putting their new collection on display, and they know that the right clients will come because of that. Okay. And so that is the same that happens when you are just no longer a match for the past version of you of how you were creating your content or who you were before. Like, it's the same thing. Like, there's no justification or whatnot that needs to be required in this. There is just being so assertive and literally paying the tax of your recalibration all the time. It's not like a one-time thing. It's constantly, right? And I think this is one of the hardest part, which is like being able to choose that recalibration over and over and over again. Like, you're not just choosing this one time to change your content, to, you know, create a different way, to show up in a different way. Like, you are constantly paying the tax. But if you are not paying the recalibration tax, then you are paying the old past self tax, and that's that is tax you will never see in your life again. This one is kind of like, I shouldn't say a tax. I should say, like, you know, your investment portfolio. And it's also about being willing to lose the clients who love maybe the cringe version of you or the dissatisfaction content that you had or whatnot, for the clients who will be literally obsessed and highly seduced by this new recalibration of your content, of how you are creating for your business. And now, if you yourself want to take a peek into how exactly you get to seduce premium buyers through your personal brand to come to you, to get attracted to your content and have your content sell for you, I highly suggest that you sign up for my exclusive list, The Obvious Choice, where you get to have all of these insights. You get jam-packed value straight into your inbox. And so definitely do not miss your chance to be on it. I will leave the link for that in the description show note. And finally, I need you to stop posting for the old version of you, right? Like the old version of you who's like, well, I've already created this way. Well, that's how I've always done it. Well, you know, or well, that's what has been working so far. I think one of the hardest thing is to kind of like walk away from something that technically works, but it's kind of like, okay, how can it actually be even better? Right? I think like that is one of the hardest thing. And this is something that doesn't just apply to your content or how you're showing up online. It applies to like so many different things. This is something that I've personally had to do over and over again. And I used to really struggle with that, you know, kind of like letting go to what works to something immensely better. And sometimes like it's just about taking that leap of faith of like, okay, like, you know, this is what I've always done and I know that it works, but it's not really working as well as I wanted to. I know it could be working even more, right? It's not just about the seducing framework recipe, but it's also about, you know, how are you creating in a way that actually allows you to reach for those new results that maybe it's just, you know, it's not what you've always done, but it will get you to that new level of demand and buyers and like authority that you are looking to be calling in. And speaking of showing up as the expert, as the authority, I've seen it time and time again where so many women feel this like cringe resistance because the way they're showing up is kind of like they feel like they need to like prove they're the expert. They feel like, okay, like I need to show up and be like, look guys, I know everything. But that is actually what repels all of the right clients, because the right clients, they don't need you to tell them, oh, I'm the expert, I'm the best with this, right? They just need to understand why your personal brand and how your business or your service or what you do is perfect for them. Like they don't need to hear like, oh my God, I'm the best or whatever. And this is also sometimes something that can give you the ick of like, oh, like I feel like I'm just like, it's giving me the ick of like, oh look, I'm so good, and you're like cringing at that, right? And so it's all about making it, coming back to the natural way of seducing the right clients to work with you, to book you, to binge your content, to watch you and everything. And inevitably you will get to that new version of yourself that when you look at your content, you're like, oh my God, it feels so satisfying. It feels so like me. Like, this is exactly what I wanted my content to be giving. Like, oh yes, finally, right? And you're not cringing anymore. You're not like, oh, like in this like ugly phase of like, oh, like everything is cringing me out, right? And so that is what it comes down to, and naturally it will lead to your natural way of leading, and also you will feel a lot more rooted in you and into your personal brand pillars that actually sells for you. So I hope that you absolutely love this episode. Just a reminder that you get to tune in every single week onto the podcast and to all of the streaming platform, including Spotify, Apple Podcasts, all of these good platforms. Once again, I highly suggest that you jump onto the obvious list to grab onto the exclusive value and strategy to seduce your premium buyers attracted so effortlessly to your personal brand. I will leave that in the description show notes. If you love this episode, make sure to share with a friend, share with someone that you know would actually love to hear about this conversation. I always love to see how our community is growing and expanding. And thank you so much for all of your share, all of your reviews on the podcast. I really deeply appreciated it. We've even reached a growth rate on the podcast of plus 149%. I think we're at now, which is tremendous for the podcast. It's actually so amazing. So thank you so much to all of the girlies tuning in and sharing it with your friends, with everyone. I'm so glad we are growing our community, and I will meet you here next week. Thanks so much for tuning in, and don't forget to leave your 5-star rate and review on the podcast. I love to know what you guys think of the episodes, and I will meet you here next week.